been struck.
Hatchery.
That makes sense. A hatchery. Yeah, a hatchery. Hey, everybody. Just a few minutes until the official go live. Let's see if I can get a sound check on this. What? Did we lose a thing? Hey, Michael, how you doing? Robert, how you doing, brother? Thank you for joining us tonight. I see a Mr. Lowe on here. Let's see if we got anything going here. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. All right, we're calling out a sound check. Could be from millinery.
I think it's millinery.
Millinery? If she dons a woman's cap, is her chosen haberdashery is her chosen path. Mr. D.W. Lowe. Ptolemachus is on here going, woo! Sorry, I cannot actually raise my shoulder higher than that.
You put in effort.
I put in effort. That was actually fair. That was pretty high. That was pretty high. Bad shoulders. Too many atomic body slams. E.S. Taylor is on here. Michael Greenhill, thank you so much for joining us today, sir, from Tennessee. Robert Hartzell is on here. Thank you so much for joining. Robert, I think, was it Robert? It was one of the Roberts, I think, had the question about the video equipment, like wanting to do your own videos and post them to YouTube and whatnot. I don't remember if that was Robert Hartzell or what was the other Robert that's on here?
Reynolds.
Robert Reynolds. I think it was the Hartzell one.
Yes.
Yes, it was me. Okay. Hey, Manny Marino. Thank you so much for joining. I sure hope I can send you some new stuff soon. I don't want to get too far into it. We still have about a minute, about a minute and a half or so until the official go live button or start. I'll move this since they don't pay us.
Yeah. No pay, no screen time.
Yeah. You guys can see the Zeppelin over here.
Ooh.
It will actually be turned to go lengthwise down the table, but it's just so big. I had to try and get it shuffled out of the way today.
Did Jerry come over today?
He did not. No, he had to work today. So Jerry has been coming over on Thursdays and working on terrain. That's a big help for me to get some help on working on terrain stuff and vehicles. He puts a lot of my vehicles together too, glues them. And I think we're there, aren't we? Are we at our official? No, almost. Okay.
No,
all right. I'll go back to sleep.
No, we're there.
Oh, we're there?
Go.
Hey, everybody, this is Dave here at Pulp Alley, and I am with the world's most dangerous Bessy. That's why she's wearing a helmet. Helmet to protect her head. I'll go back to sleep. Wake me up. Wake me up when it's done. Hello, Matt. Thank you so much for joining us. The Smart Ass Podcast. These guys do some cool videos. What was the one I watched today? Doggone it, I can't remember. I blinked since then. Joe Little is on here. Adios Gringo is on here. Very cool. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you, Smart Ass Podcast, for joining. I guess you guys abbreviate that a lot, so to avoid saying the A word. Anyway, Smart Ass Podcast does a lot of nerd-centric stuff, movie trailers and just different stuff. definitely worth when we're done here. You ought to go over and check out some of the stuff they do. Relatively short videos. I felt like under 15 minutes or so.
That's nice.
Pretty nice stuff. Pretty nice stuff. And both a couple of really cool guys. There is, and I want to warn you guys, there is a little bit of blue language if you go over there. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means.
Cussing.
Blue language?
Blue, yeah.
Why is it blue?
I don't know why it's blue. Why is it blue? But like if a comedian works blue, that means they're using, profanity in their set. I did not make that up. Boys and girls, back me up on this. Back me up on this. Okay. Definitely blue. There we go. From the SAPC himself. Hey guys, this is going to be a 30-minute video today. No more, no less.
It could be less.
It could actually be less, and it could actually be more. I would, we just blathering. We're trying to do 3 new videos per week. We actually end up typically doing 4, but the big days are Tuesdays. And we did a really fun video that I was really happy with about our city tiles and talking about how we put those together. They are very simple. They are very easy to do, and they're very inexpensive, and they're very durable.
And
what? You can't just throw an "and" out there and not
and blue
and they're blue. They're blue-gray, actually, blue-gray. But once you're finished buffing them, they are less blue and more gray.
Huh.
While I'm on the subject, though, and somebody had asked how I keep them flat, because I always say to folks, make sure you store this stuff flat. You don't want to lean these tiles like up against a wall or something like that, because it will actually bow and it will start taking that shape after a day or so. After an hour or so, they're gonna warp. So you always want to keep them flat. This is what a stack of 8 tiles looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is what a stack of 8 tiles looks like. And they are all chopped up, so they are various sizes. Look at that. 2 different sizes there. And then I have even down to little tiny, like 2 tiles. 2 tiles there.
Is that on purpose or an accident?
That's the one that I typically use for my gas station. That's where I set my gas pump.
Pumps? Okay.
That's where I set my gas pump. So, anyway, and then I set the whole stack on a bookshelf, on a nice glass shelf that's nice and flat, or a nice tile shelf or something like that. Something that's going to keep it nice and flat. Okay. The whole stack right there, that's only about $8 for all of these sidewalk pieces. Anyway, if you haven't seen the video that we did on Tuesday, it's worth going back and taking a peek at it. And earlier today, I did a video just kind of walking around, or posted a video just kind of walking around the Zeppelin and talking about it. And you can see it a little bit here in the shot. I think most of you can. I guess some people may have different sized screens, but so this is the Zeppelin by request. Mr. Vern Jeske, I'm playing with him on Sunday from California, and he requested to use the Zeppelin. So Bessy had to help me get it down. We bolted it together, and it's mostly set up. I think I'll go back and add a few more things. I think we'll end up doing something like Phantom Ace and the Sky Pirates. I haven't really decided yet, but what?
I mean, it's a Zeppelin.
It's a Zeppelin.
Do it without the Sky Pirate.
Yeah.
Or Phantom Ace.
Yeah, it's just those just kind of feel right. Very interesting scenario, because in some ways the characters are almost like undercover at the start of it. So they're kind of walking around. They know something is wrong. They know they've heard some information, some rumors and murmurs, that possibly someone is trying to sabotage, or they could be on the flip side of that, that they are actually there to sabotage.
They know who the saboteurs are.
So the first plot point that you pass is going to tell you what your objective is. So you go into the scenario not actually knowing where your major plot point is going to be. So you've got to pass one of the minor plot points, and then you can hopefully find out what is going on in the scenario.
We have a question.
Okay.
Regarding your thingies.
Oh, my thingies.
How many of each size? Like, do you have like a certain?
No.
Wide.
Yeah. Almost cut to the terrain that you want to use. You almost need to build it based on your own terrain. The biggest tiles are, I have about half of them are like the full size here. About half of them are full size. But I like using these long skinny tiles. Like I'll put those around a park. If I have a park in the city or a playground or something like that, then I'll use a sidewalk like this to kind of wrap around that area and still have a sidewalk there. But most of the areas I want to have these big pieces. But sometimes I'll even use those smaller pieces just to fill in a few gaps here and there. It's something that you kind of have to get a feel for on your own based on the terrain that you're using and how many sidewalks you want. So if you watch the video, you know that the sidewalks mostly aren't a separate piece. Like the piece when I laid down that big 12 by 12 tile, that was the tile that I used for my hotel. And the hotel just sits right in the middle of it. Well, actually a little bit to the back, but and so the whole area actually has that kind of concrete. Okay. I should continue on. Bessy started sending out PDFs this week for folks on the Kickstarter that included the core rules rule book. Yep. So if your rewards included the core rules rule book, which would be anybody that just ordered the rule book by itself, or anybody that ordered a starter box, anybody that ordered the starter box, those folks, you would get one of those PDFs. So she sent those out on Monday, or this week. So if you don't have it now, you need to let us know. So be sure and check your spam folder and things like that. And if you have not received it and you would like it, you probably ought to let Bessy know. So send an email to our pulpalley@gmail account and if you did not receive it. And then over the next few weeks, we will continue to send out more PDFs. So that was just the core rules PDF. So if you were expecting to receive more PDFs, you will be receiving them. They're just coming at a later time. So one thing at a time. That's pretty much all I can handle. One thing at a time.
Well, that's all you need.
Yeah. I do have a couple questions here from folks. Should I go into my questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you have any questions from folks?
Nothing at the moment.
Cheap material. The cheap material would turn blue. What does that mean?
Just read your questions. It's okay.
It's from the movies. Questionable content. Okay. All right. Are there going to be any pigs or cabbage cart? No, not at this time. Not at this time. There are no cabbages or pigs in there.
We'll get
These titles are also okay. Here we go. So Robert Hartzell was asking about doing videos, and we would love more folks to do videos. ES Taylor, right? Am I saying that right? ES Taylor.
Yes, that is a person.
Okay. ES Taylor has been doing some really cool Pulp Alley videos. I do encourage you guys to check out his stuff. Again, cool, short little videos, a lot of them. He's also posted a couple of videos about full games that he has done. So fun stuff to go in and look at and to check out. So I would definitely encourage you folks to check out ES Taylor's channel and some of his cool Pulp Alley videos that he's put together. So if you are thinking about trying to do videos, I guess the biggest one would be to use your cell phone. If you have a decent cell phone camera, that's a great place to start. I still use my cell phone to shoot a video at least once or twice a month. I'll just use my. You know what? The video I posted today, the video of me walking around the Zeppelin, that was just done with my cell phone. Yeah. You know. So you can those cell phone cameras are about as good, I think, as a lot of them get. Unless you're starting to go into the $500-$600 cameras, you know, your DSLRs and all that sort of stuff. We have a couple webcams that we use also. The camera that I'm talking to right now is a Logitech Brio. The camera, and it's like a couple $100. The camera that we move around the table during our games is a Logitech Stream Cam. And it's like $150. And that's the one that we show the table when we're moving it around. And we use those both for live games and for recorded stuff as well. We do a lot of our capturing with an application called Logitech Capture. And you know what? I was thinking this is probably something I ought to do a whole video for. Maybe there's more to it than what I can really cover right now. So I guess I'm going to stop there because maybe I ought to talk about the microphones a little bit. Yeah. And
but I mean, we started with a cell phone and the free Microsoft editing video.
Yes.
They weren't great.
Yes.
That's what we started.
Yeah. Our first videos were embarrassing. They were embarrassing.
You have to crawl before you can run.
Yeah.
Sweetheart.
Yeah. So there's kind of this learning curve. And I feel like we're kind of getting there now, but man, it was a pretty tough road. And you could end up spending, thousands of dollars on this, but we have been, I think Mr. Hartzell suggested it too, is starting out really small with what you can do and then kind of growing. And that's exactly what we have done. We started off with our cell phone, a webcam, and the free editing software, and then kind of continued to roll from there. But that's probably more than what I can fit in tonight. So if somebody reminds me, I'll try to do like a whole video just about that subject. I know folks have asked about it. So, and I would love to pass on that information because we would really like to see more videos from y'all out there. I'd love to see you guys doing some more videos, some more Pulp Alley videos specifically. Okay. What? More Pulp Alley videos.
Specifically?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Any recommendations for running an auto race? This is a really neat question. And I guess my recommendation, this came from Vern Jeske, and he was asking about running an auto race. He was wanting to do like Tunisia, 1933 Grand Prix, and it's a really interesting track. 1933 Grand Prix, that would be a lot of fun to play. The thing is finding the right mix of rules to make it work well. When I was a much younger man, I played the heck out of Car Wars. I thought Car Wars was the cat's pajamas. And, I traveled to conventions and, did a lot of Car Wars stuff. The problem is sometimes there are games that are better concepts than they are rules. And for me, Car Wars kind of became that. Now, I'm not knocking Car Wars because I haven't played it in, 20 some odd years. So I have no idea what they've done with it since then. But I can tell you at the time, back in the 80s and early 90s, that it was, one of those games where you moved at those second intervals and it moved so incredibly slow. They took something that should have been fast and furious and wild, and they broke it down into these little 1-inch grid moves, and using these different turning templates and stuff like that. They took something that should be fast and fun and made it like this really slow, plodding, kind of game. So my advice, first off, if you want to do an auto race, is do not try to do it as I'm going to move my car from here to here to then I'm going to do a 12-degree turn and move here, and like stuff like that. That, as cool as you think that is, it ain't. It's a cool concept, and I loved the concept of Car Wars. Like, who doesn't want to mount machine guns on their car and just drive down the street blowing the heck out of everything? That's just about as much fun as you could possibly have, right? The concept. But then you sit down to play it, and it's just like, oh, this, you would play for, an hour, 2 hours, and maybe get through a couple turns. It was just painfully slow. So for if you're going to do a fast track and the Tunisia Grand Prix, that was something like 37 laps. How are you going to do that? You can't do it. It was like 3.5 hours. The winning driver took 3.5 hours to complete the course, 37 laps. So I guess my recommendation for this is to create challenges for different segments of the track. So let's say you have the you have that first straightaway, the main straightaway as you come up onto the Burj de Lac corner. It's a big arcing corner. And then you have another straightaway. Well, that could be a cunning check. Maybe you do a cunning check there to see how many successes you get. And then whoever gets the most successes, you keep track of that and you keep a running score of how far the cars are apart then. After you come through that second straightaway, I think you're coming up on, there's a chicane there, and then it loops around, and you have a bunch of like little soft curves there through the Sorca, I believe. And that could be a finesse check. So you can have fixed challenges in there as you come down through there and you come up on the, what is it? The seedy corner there. There's a hairpin turn and then a chicane just before you go into the main straightaway again. And that completes the lap. And that could be a might check. Don't ignore might when you're doing stuff like this, because those old cars, they did not have power steering in 1933. They were manhandling those cars through a hairpin turn and a slow chicane. That's a great time to throw in a might check. Now, in addition to those things, you might throw in another skill check for that lap overall, just to throw in a random skill check for people that want to try to gain a little extra ground. And then they're taking a risk, though. Then they're taking a risk, because if they fail that, you can have something go wrong with the car. Oh, you've got an oil leak now. Oh, you know, one of your tires is going to have to be fixed. You know, you can have different things that could go wrong on the car if they decide to go for that extra drive. Anyway, with something like that, you can go through a race. It turns it much more into an abstract situation where you're not actually moving the car around the table. You can use models, and you can use a stretch of a raceway to align the cars so that you can keep track of who's in front and by how much. So if car number 6 is, you know, and the numbers between the cars, you could say that's car lengths or something like that. You know, maybe that car is 5 car lengths ahead based on what their rolls. Then you can set a dice or something in between those cars out there to show it. Anyway, and all of these rules for this, I was actually going to use for our Manchukuo rally, which was a cross-country rally, which is a campaign that we've been working on and kind of had in our back pocket for a while. But our Manchukuo rally is a cross-country race through Manchukuo in 1932, 1931, somewhere in there. Now that's a fictional race, though, a real temporary country, but a fictional race. Anyway, cool stuff. Do you have any other questions from folks? No?
Oh, no. David Lowe said, how about a scenario focusing on the last few laps?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. What you could do there is you can have other action going on behind the scenes like that. The car race could just be for fun or whatever, but then you could actually have something going on off the track. You could have something going on in the pits. You could have something going on, you know, happening elsewhere, not just the drivers zooming around the track. But for like the Manchukuo rally, on that one, on each leg of the journey, there would have been, or there will be, scenarios that you have to complete along the way.
Yeah.
And depending on what route you take, it determines which scenario, what type of scenario you would have to do. So yes, you could work scenarios in there, but the overall race is not nearly as important maybe as those little side scenarios are. Those are the real game. Like something going on in pit row, or, you know, something else going on the track. Yeah, that's good. And then rolling for the laps, you could really even focus that in on maybe like the last 5 laps or something like that, the laps that really matter. So you could space everybody out and just kind of get an idea where all of the cars are at that moment, and then kind of try to play out the last 5 laps or something. Okay. Yeah. Good suggestion there. Any more Cthulhu scenarios on the horizon? I don't know. I don't know if we do or not. Right now, we've been going through the 2020 scenarios of the month. And quite honestly, I looked them up that week. So I know this week I'm playing on the Zeppelin, but I don't have a clue what's after this one. So I can't even keep, you know, that far forward. But I think in 2020 we had several. I don't know if you saw the preacher scenario that we did, but that one was intended to kind of be an homage to some H.P. Lovecraft sort of stories. Also, I think, is that one and the fog scenario also, the fog, the preacher, Innsmouth Gold. I know I'm forgetting it. But anyway, there are several out there. Companion Car Wars ran a successful companion race in the 90s. Yes. I was a big Car Wars fan and played it religiously. But the truth is, it really wasn't a very good game. It really was, right? There's games that are better concepts than they are games. Monopoly, right? Monopoly's one.
It's a classic.
I know it's a classic and everybody thinks they like it, but it's a crappy game. Like nobody wants to sit down and play Monopoly after they've played it. You sit down and you play Monopoly and then you don't want to see that thing again for another 10 years. It's a horrible game and people buy it because it's a cool concept. It is. It's a great concept for a game.
You better give us like shot.
Unfortunately, it's a crappy game. I don't think I'm surprising anybody.
Make 80,000 different variations.
It's a crappy game. It is a crappy game.
Literally any town, USA, Monopoly, and then it has your town's name. That's all American.
Yeah.
Are you a communist?
And and if you go back and you actually look up the history of Monopoly, you'll find out how crappy it is because it was actually intended not to be fun. The lady that actually initially designed, I think it was a lady, Monopoly to begin with, she wanted it to expose the fallacies of capitalism. For good or bad, it was never intended to be fun, but it is a cool concept for a board game. It is. It's a cool concept, but sitting down and actually playing it is like pulling teeth. It is a painful process and it ain't no fun to play unless you're the one that's winning. Everybody else is just like bored out of their gourd. Anyway, that's my love for Monopoly. Mwah, love yes. Crappy game. And there's so many of those out there. There are so many cool concepts for games, and that's what makes them popular. Pulp Alley is not a concept game. Pulp Alley is a real game that is designed for people that actually want to play and actually want to play a lot. That is the big difference between a concept game that's trying to sell you a grim, dark future, and a set of rules that's actually designed to recreate the action adventure stories. That's the difference between Pulp Alley and a lot of other games. What?
No, it was a perfect segue.
Yeah.
I see what you did.
I think we're done.
Yeah,
I think we're done. Too. I think the Monopoly Mafia is going to be coming after me.
I think they're coming down the road. I can hear the shoe.
Do not miss our Sunday live game with Vern Jesky. We're going to be dragging out the Zeppelin. We're going to be running around on it. It has a cool rule in this, and we're almost starting off undercover. So you don't want to be like shooting and things like that in this because the security robots will attack you and try to bring you down. So it's like, I don't know how many of you have played Final Flight, but basically it's that sort of deal where if you shoot or brawl or some other things, then you become wanted by the security robots and they try to hunt you down. So it almost encourages you to try to be nice, but yeah.
You know who won't?
I mean, it's a nice idea to be nice, but if you're the baddie, then you have to be the baddie. Somebody's got to be the baddie. The clock on the wall says it's 8:31, and that means it's bedtime for me. She tucks me in. Please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for us. It really is important to us. We really appreciate all your support. Don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. Make sure you send an email to Bessy if you have not received the PDF, if you were expecting it. And that's it for tonight. Are we done?
Mm-hmm.
Tell the boys and girls good night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody. I'm clicking the button in stream. Boop. That was awesome. Very cool.